Okay, hello beautiful goddesses and people who are seeing this video on YouTube or on the replay or live on Facebook right now. I'm Ashley Sunshine and I am a part of Golden Sun Kombucha. Golden Sun! And I am here today in my kitchen to teach you how to make your own kombucha. So it's a pretty easy process, but there's a lot of different ways you can do it, a lot of varieties, a lot of experimentation. This is a fermentation. So what's happening is that there's a family of probiotics, of bacteria and yeast that are going to eat the food that you give them. And in kombucha's case, the food is sugar and tea. Okay, and then the bacteria and yeast are eating those sugars and eating the tannins inside of the tea and then creating this beautiful beverage, which is kombucha. Okay, so what you're going to need in order to make your own kombucha is some starter liquid. You really need the starter liquid. You don't as much need the actual SCOBY. And I'm not sure if you have ever seen a SCOBY, so in a few moments I'll pull him out and show you what it looks like. It looks kind of like a jellyfish, but it's basically made of cellulose, which is the byproduct of the bacteria and the yeast, and it's kind of like their home. They build a little home, but the live part of kombucha is in the liquid itself. Okay, so that's why we drink the liquid and we don't eat the SCOBY. So just to give you guys a little bit of background about probiotics and gut health, so our bodies are made up of more cells that are not human cells than human cells. Okay, so if we have 1 trillion cells, then more of 500 billion of those cells are actually not human. So what are they? They're single-celled organisms that create different communities within and around our bodies to help us survive on the planet, to help us battle disease, and even build certain parts of our body for us, which is pretty amazing. We even have little mites that live on our eyelashes. Okay, so we're basically full of probiotics in our body. When a disease comes, that's like a bad biotic. If you have a good balance of probiotics in your system, then you'll be able to fight disease much more. So having fermented foods such as kombucha, pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi, there's all kinds of really cool fermented foods out there that are tasty. And some of it is like an acquired taste, so you might need to get used to it. But if you are eating those kind of foods regularly, then you'll have a much better chance of fighting disease, including the corona, and generally being healthy and happy. So they say like a happy gut is a happy brain. And the gut and the heart are like your second and third brains. So when your digestive system is in balance, then you live a more happy and fulfilled life. Okay, so just want to see if there's any comments. If anybody's here, tell me hello. Hey, Georgia. Awesome. Hey, Amy. Hey, Rachel. Yay. So I'd love to hear if you guys drink kombucha, if you want to make your own at home. Let me know a little bit about you and like if you have any questions about making kombucha, because it's a very simple process, but there's a lot of variety in the way that you can do it. So oftentimes a lot of questions will come up. Okay, so I'm here to answer any questions you have about making your own kombucha. Okay, so let's get started. So what you're going to need is some basic tea bags. So super, super basic, like you can use it just as long as it's black tea. Black tea, green tea, or white tea works. Oolong as well. But something like Earl Grey won't work for this because it has additional oils and other additives in it that don't make it a pure tea. So what's interesting is that green tea, black tea, oolong tea, and white tea all come from the same plant. They're the same plant, they're just processed differently. So this is the primary food for the kombucha. Okay, the second primary food for the kombucha is sugar. The best sugar to use is white sugar. Okay, it's really the best sugar to use for kombucha. Okay, this doesn't mean that when you drink kombucha, you're drinking white sugar, because what did we say before? The kombucha eats the sugar. This is the best food for it. And after it goes through the digestion process of eating the sugar, it gives you some healthy probiotics. So, all right, so let's get started. So I have here my starter liquid and my SCOBY. I'm gonna need another jar and some sugar. Here's my other jar. So what I'm gonna do is make a cup of tea. But I'm gonna make a cup of tea that's really strong. Okay, and so I'm gonna put 3 tea bags in my cup of tea. 3. One. By the way, this jar is 1 liter. 1, 2, 3. Like I said, you can use green tea, oolong tea, or black tea. And actually, I'm feeling like spicing it up a little bit, so I'm gonna add 1 green tea bag in as well. And again, like, it's super basic tea. I'm gonna add that in. Okay, green tea. Yofi. So now I'm gonna put, so I have 4 tea bags in here, 1 liter of water. I'm gonna put hot water in here. Luckily, we have over here just a hot water spout, so I don't even need to worry about boiling water. Okay, so I have here a cup of tea. I'm gonna leave it to sit for a few minutes. There's all like different ways to experiment. Like some people say like you have to wait 17 minutes for the tea. Some people say 25 minutes. Some people say 5 minutes. Okay, I usually like to wait around 12 minutes, but for the sake of this video, I won't wait for 12 minutes. So I have my tea brewing in this cup. Now I have my starter liquid. Okay, this is already strong starter liquid kombucha. If you don't have starter liquid, you can use vinegar, or you can use a bottle of plain kombucha. Okay, so we sell kombucha that is flavored, and it's not recommended to make new kombucha out of this, although you can technically. You can grow new kombucha out of the SCOBY that's in here. But because it has additional sugars from the apple and the ginger, or the beetroot and the ginger, or whatever flavor it is, it's not recommended to do it. You should do it with more pure kombucha like this, or you can try apple cider vinegar that's raw and unfiltered. All right, so I have my liquid. And when you start working with kombucha, you want to make sure your hands are washed. But don't wash them only with soap. Wash them with soap first, which I already did. And then rinse them with a little bit of apple cider vinegar or with your starter liquid. So I'm going to take this over to the sink and just put a little bit in my hands and just wash my hands with the starter liquid. Yummy. It smells like vinegar. Okay. Now I'll show you guys the SCOBY, the SCOBY. Here she is. Oh my God, she looks so pretty. So this SCOBY grew in a square-shaped jar, which you can see, and it's really, really healthy and happy. This is the way a SCOBY should look like. Sometimes your SCOBYs might have like bits of black or bits of like dark brown on it, and that's okay, as long as there's not any visible mold or like really black parts, it's fine. So it's okay if there's little brown bits, but this one is like nice and white. Okay, so that's the SCOBY. And then I have here, and I'm going to try not to touch my hair or my face now that I'm handling the kombucha. Now I'm going to pour 1/3 of my starter liquid into this new jar. These are liter jars. I'm going to pour 1/3 of a liter into this new jar. Okay, so that looks like about 1/3. Yeah, something like that. Now I can fill the rest of this with the tea that I just made. Oh, I forgot to add sugar. Okay, so for 1 liter of kombucha, I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of sugar. Okay, it seems like a lot, and I promise that the kombucha eats it, so you don't need to worry. So I've brewed my tea. I'm gonna remove the tea bags, and you can't see it, but I have a really strong looking tea here, which is great. And now I'm gonna take a third of a cup of sugar, or a half a cup of sugar, which is about 10 tablespoons, and add that in. 5 tablespoons. 10 tablespoons is 1 cup. 5 tablespoons is half a cup. Okay? Give it a nice stir. Let the sugar dissolve in the tea. Okay, now what you don't want is to pour the hot tea directly onto the kombucha. Okay, so this is living liquid right here. This is alive. There's probably about 1 billion probiotics in this liquid right here. So you don't want to kill those by adding hot beverage. If something is too hot for you to touch comfortably, then it's too hot for the kombucha. Okay. Cha means tea in Japanese, and kombu is the name of the Korean guy who discovered this amazing beverage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this other jar and I'm going to dilute the tea. So I made a really concentrated tea, and now I'm going to dilute it with cold water. Cold filtered water is really important. So I'm diluting it with about 2/3 of a liter. Then I'm going to add in my tea. This is going to be dangerous. I'm going to do it over the sink. And just to be safe, my hands are clean with the kombucha. I'm going to touch it and make sure that it's good. I can touch it without feeling hot. Okay? So that's how you do it. Now I have the tea I made it concentrated, then I diluted it. Now it's not too hot to add to the kombucha. So here we go. I'm feeding the kombucha, and see how this tea is so dark? This was once dark as well, but the probiotics ate the color out of the tea. That's part of their food, which is really cool. I'm gonna go, I had to pour that right in there. Yeah, I filled it a little bit too much. I would normally fill it a bit less. Maybe I'll put it in the other jar. There we go. And I can actually just add the rest of that tea into that other jar. Okay, and then from there, all you need to do is take a piece of fabric, put it on top, and put a little, it can be a towel, it can be just a piece of old t-shirt that you put on top, and then put a rubber band, like a hair tie, around the top. Okay, so it looks like an Arabian desert king. And that's it. Then you leave it for a week. And what you can do is continue. After 1 week, you should start to see another SCOBY, another cellulose little jellyfish growing on the top. And once you start to see the jellyfish getting thick, you can taste your kombucha. The longer you leave the kombucha, the less sweet and the more sour it's going to be. The shorter you wait, then the more sweet it's going to be. Kombucha takes longer to ferment in the winter, and shorter to ferment in the summer. It's happy in the heat. It takes longer in the cold. If you want to pause your kombucha, you can always put it in the fridge, and then it won't ferment very quickly at all. So this is step 1 of fermentation, okay? And step 2 is when you can flavor it and put it into closed bottles to make it fizzy. It won't get fizzy in a bottle like this because it's not airtight. So this is an aerobic process, and this is an anaerobic process. So in this video, I'm only going to cover step 1 of fermentation. If you're interested in step 2, write to me and I'll make another video about how to make fizzy, flavored, delicious, homemade, easy kombucha. I hope you guys learned something. I'm going to check if there's any questions. Yay, Tamar, I'm really happy that you are going to make kombucha again. And Hila Gracie, brown, it's just that the kombucha doesn't digest the brown sugar as easily. But yes, it can work. I've actually used honey. I've tried it with like the demerara sugar, which is like the most the least processed sugar that you can find. I've also tried coconut sugar. They all work, but they work differently. They take longer. You have more risks of problems happening. And I find that using white sugar, it makes the kombucha just taste amazing. So that's my recommendation. But of course, experiment, try everything. Kombucha just keeps multiplying itself. So once you have your first batch going and you're successful, like start with white sugar, then you'll have a few successful batches, and then you can experiment. You know, you'll have 5 jars like this after, you know, a month, and then you'll be able to do whatever you want. So I hope that was helpful. Love you ladies so much. Bye.